Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, here with my lovely co-host here today. We have Tanya. How are you doing today, Tanya?
Hi, I'm great. I'm very excited to talk about this episode.
Oh, me too. So if this is your first time on Reality Realness, well then welcome. We are so happy to have you. Please hang out with us in the chat. We love talking to you all about reality TV and the gossip that goes along with it. So today we're going to go in a little bit deeper into Tayshia's journey to find love with episode 8 of The Bachelorette. Overall thoughts of the episode?
I love this episode. I love a lie detector when it's used in reality TV. So for me, it's beautiful.
True. We did get a little hint that the lie detector was coming out at the end of last episode. And so knowing that it was coming and some of the previews were just kind of like, okay, she's going to learn some new things about these men. So I was happy that it was coming onto the show, even though it's a little slimy. But
yes.
You're like, yes, it's a lot slimy. That's why.
It's like, I would like to shout out Love Island for their use of a lie detector every season, which is very clearly just a way for producers to stir shit up. So it's a fantastic tool for entertainment, but absolutely so manipulative.
So funny. I watched Love Island as well, and they didn't do it this second season of the USA. I really thought they would because of all the drama that was happening in the house, but I think that they were just doing damage control with Johnny and Selly. That they're like, I don't want them to say anything wrong. Like this isn't working the way we're supposed to. Like let's back away from the lie detector. Did we do it season 1 though? Do you remember?
I don't remember in the US, but it's a staple of the UK ones, and it always instigates just so much chaos, and I love it.
So, starting this episode, we have the men talking about the 2-on-1 between Bennett and Noah. And what's in that box is going to, that line was like the end line, the button line of the episode, which was pretty fantastic. So what did you think about the guys' speculation over who is going to stay and who is going to go? And I guess also just that.
Honestly, I think they were of the impression that was actually, it's kind of unclear to me how people really felt about this, but I was under the impression that most of the guys actually felt like Bennett would stay just based on what they know of his interactions with Tayshia, though I'm not really sure how many people are on the side of we want Noah to go and he's annoying. Like I know a few people are there, but I'm not sure if everybody's there.
And for me, it's okay. I find their little bickering is annoying. Like who cares? Like Bennett should know better, to be honest. He's gonna be talking to someone, like imagine talking to a 14-year-old. Yeah, he's making a point here, but like he's also still engaging with this 14-year-old. So like what is that making of him? But Noah even explaining his side of the story to Tayshia and Bennett explaining his side, like Noah to me comes across as a little bit manipulative. Like Bennett, we know what Bennett's dealing with, but like it's kind of like Noah's coming across to me as like this victim of Bennett being kind of a bully in a sense, but I didn't really feel that it was warranted, or I felt it was just like calculated of Noah, and he didn't necessarily feel as like hurt by Bennett or like scared of him or like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I think I'm struggling to understand if he was choosing to play it that way because that's a smarter strategy to be like, clearly Bennett's at a disadvantage right now and he's at risk of being eliminated because not only did he come in with a certain air to him and is talking to Tayshia and really making her question whether he believes in her integrity, but then he also left the present and everything. So I think the smart move is to do what Noah did and just be like, well, he behaves this way. It's not cool. It's not okay that he treats people condescendingly, etc. Or is he also just soft and really couldn't handle Bennett, and in this moment of softness was just like, he's mean to me, basically. Either way, both are for like a more sympathetic approach, but I think it's a smart way to go. Bennett's digging his own grave, right? Like he's just
it is like
everything was worse and worse as he kept going.
I mean, obviously Bennett's not doing the right things and Noah is doing the right things in this situation. I guess, like, to me, it just seems too soft for me, the Noah side. It wouldn't be the side that I'm like, oh, I want to marry that guy because, like,
no.
You know what I mean? He needed my help to handle Bennett. Like, it just doesn't sit well with me, with somebody that's like supposed to be the father of my children. You know what I mean?
Well, and also not well with her either, because she was like not pleased regardless. Like she was not impressed with either of them. It wasn't a good showing on Noah's part. It was just better than Bennett's approach, which was not good.
So Tayshia, like she takes Bennett away to have a talk, and this is where she breaks up with him. And I was surprised about the breakup. Like, I know, like last week or 2 weeks ago, we thought Bennett was going to stay for sure, and then after or I don't know, whatever the timeline was, but we just thought that Bennett was going to stay for sure at some point, and then we're like, oh no, he's leaving for sure. So when do you think that it was all calculated by the producers? Because, okay, Bennett gets broken up with. Bennett goes home. Then question in the lie detector test, like, do you regret anybody home? That was a lie on her part. And then, what happens at the end of the episode? Do you think that it was all constructed, her sending him home? Because she does mention many times, like, I didn't really picture myself sending him home. I didn't think that was part of the plan, blah, blah, blah.
I think it was constructed mainly because of her reactions. Because Bennett is saying things like, I love you. What? And like, I don't know if I've ever loved anyone this much. Like some crazy things where I'm like, obviously not. Like, obviously not. How could this possibly be true? And I don't get the sense that she feels the same way. Yet what I'm hearing her say verbally is, oh, but I really like him. I feel like there's something there, but I don't feel like she actually believes that. So I very much think it was something that production kind of pushed for a bit more. Because to me, I don't see the conflict. Like in terms of the whole arc of whatever happens with Bennett in this episode and Tayshia, I don't see the actual conflict that she really cares about this person. But the words are, I care about him. So to me, yeah, it's definitely a play for a storyline, maybe a way to keep him relevant for a little while longer. But he was best served as like a person that we got snapshots of that we thought was funny and entertaining. The more mystery was peeled away from him and the more we saw of him, the more turned off I think everybody became. And I find it hard to believe that Tayshia buys his bullshit, honestly.
Yeah, because when I look at his face when he's saying all these like very, very sincere things, it looks to me like he's wearing a mask and that's not what his true intentions or feelings are. It's like he knows exactly what he's meant to say. It definitely doesn't feel genuine, but he's also kind of stoic and not that expressive. So it's hard for me to determine whether that's just how he expresses himself when he's in these kind of situations. So I'm giving him a pass. I'm giving him like, okay, I just don't know you that well, Bennett, to know if this is really how you feel or how you interact with someone that you're in love with. So we're giving him a pass. But at this point, he has been left. He's pretty shocked by it. He did say something that I thought was rude in it. Like, I didn't think that you would make that kind of decision, or like, I didn't think that I don't remember the exact wording. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
What did he say when he was leaving?
When he was leaving, to the effect of like, I didn't think that you would make this kind of decision, or I didn't think. Yeah. And anyways, whenever he said it, I was like, whoa, like this is basically the reason why you're leaving is the fact that you kind of are poo-pooing her decision-making skills.
Exactly. he questioned her integrity, and that was a big thing for her. And then I think the fact that he's so condescending to other people, if that's his rep, really just pushed her over. But I heard, and by heard, I mean, I was just reading online that she was on Rachel Lindsay and Van Lathan's podcast. I think Higher Learning is what it's called. And she apparently like goes in on Bennett, Tayshia, I mean, about how like he is like full of BS. So I need to listen to that because I really have a feeling that she does not enjoy him at all.
Ooh, that is PTT, hot piping.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes back from dumping Bennett, and before, like the shot before, it was so like high school kid about to make out in the basement of his parents' house. He like chugs like a whole little package of, I don't know, mints or gums. I don't know what it was.
Tic Tacs? Like, what was that?
And then gets up when she comes in, like full ear to ear grin, and she's just basically scolds her son, being like, "No, don't be smiling. That wasn't a victory for you. I'm not giving you this rose.
I guess I'll see you later," is what she said.
And then the men come in for the cocktail party, and they're just like all smiles, and he's like, "It's not what it seems. It's not what it seems," which it wasn't, obviously. But Noah did seem really deflated. I'd say a big ouch. I just don't really know, though, why Tayshia kind of is keeping him around at this point. Like, I think she knows that she's not going to date him, you know?
But I also think she knew she was probably going to keep him for this rose ceremony. So this was her way of like giving him a slap on the wrist to be like, what you just did, I don't like it. You need to know that I'm in charge. So you're going to wait. But like, why would she keep him if she wasn't going to give him a rose? Like she could have just said
that, unless they had another conversation at the cocktail party. But yeah, I agree with that for sure. I just don't see her being with him. I don't see. He does seem too young for me. Like, in my opinion, it's just compared to the relationships and the conversations that she's having with these other men. I just don't see that with him. Like, it seems like, a nice like puppy love, like high school relationship, which is fine. It's all worthy, but I think that the depth that the other ones seem to be developing, it's not there, and I don't think it will get there in time to go meet his family. Are you like?
No, I don't feel like the vibe I get from him is that like this is someone that I want to be my partner. Like it's maybe like someone that you go on some dates with that could be fun, but like nothing about him or any way he's presented himself this season strikes me as like someone I could get engaged to. Like
no, absolutely not. And that was the case. It would be like after being with them for like 4 years.
Yes.
You're like, I guess this is it. He says that he knows that he's ready for marriage, though. I don't know if I trust that, but I mean, I hope so. I mean, he also has come from a really big family, and so maybe he's looking for like a sense of security and like wants just to have like one person to focus on and to focus on him. So maybe, yes, he wants to see that kind of a different kind of stability in his life. But I just don't think from coming on The Bachelorette that this is a relationship journey that's going to give him the relationship that he needs or even wants. Ed was looking at the box. Did you notice him pulling everything out of the box? So excited and happy. I thought it was funny.
This box, honestly.
I wish that they addressed the box a little bit more, but I guess I understand that, like, what else is going to come out of it? Nothing. Brendan has a confessional. He talks about how he doesn't like the drama, and he was kind of like happy that was broken up. And that's one thing that I was annoyed with Bennett, is that he has to know that it's annoying just being in a bickering match with somebody that's 14 years your junior. So why he was engaging in it is just so beyond me, Bennett.
I think he's very easily, I think he thinks that he's like a mastermind, but really he's like the producer's favorite because they can manipulate him to do whatever they want. But I think he thinks like he's like the strategic mastermind of the show and that he's calling the shots, but like he's not calling the shots at all. He's just like actually enacting everything they want him to do.
That's probably it. And he's probably like, well, if I do what the producers want me to do, maybe I'll be the Bachelor and I'll probably be invited to Bachelor in Paradise, which he probably will be.
So for sure.
Tayshia comes in to address the guys, like after the whole Noah and Bennett situation. She didn't look happy. She kind of looked pissed. And I felt a little bit bad that she has to like spend her Bachelorette journey dealing with this kind of petty bullshit. So she didn't seem happy, but Riley has a drink for her. Now, I was wondering, with Riley's drink that he had, do you think it was just like a random drink? Do you think it was a non-alcoholic drink? Do you think it's a drink that he knows that she likes? Like, what do you think with the beverage? Because it seemed like a gin and tonic type vibe or a vodka soda. Yeah,
it looked like a mixed drink. I imagine they're always drinking at these cocktail parties. I feel like they're just drinking. Well, I wonder if they still have a drink limit. I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Love Island has a 2-drink limit every night. I'm like, that sucks. Sorry. I mean,
yeah, that's not a lot.
Not a lot. They may have one because of the Corinne situation at Bachelor in Paradise. I know that like they advise people from just being able to do like shots. So it's like maybe 2 drinks an hour or 2 shots an hour or something like that. I'm not sure if that has translated over to the actual Bachelorette. I'm just curious though if that was her favorite drink that he got, or just like, good, can I just grab something for Tayshia? That was my question, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know. So Riley also, so Tayshia makes a toast, and then Riley also pulls her away first for a little chat. So he's kind of, I think he's feeling confident. There has been a change in his face, in my opinion. Like before, he seemed very kind of hard, and it seemed like to be a bit of a mask, in my opinion, when I was always saying that he was pretty guarded. I feel like he has been actually unpeeling a little bit the more that he's sharing with her. So I am enjoying seeing when he smiles, it looks genuine. Have you noticed this as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe also they're just like allowing us to get to know him a little bit more too. So it's nice to see a little bit of character development there, because he was not featured like super, super regularly leading up to even like last week, I would say. So
it's very true. And he was just I thought he looked cute. He was acting cute, and I don't know if she's vibing with him that much. I think that, it warrants like maybe another week, But I do like that. I'm just seeing a new side of him. So I was happy that he got some time, and hopefully the amount of opening up that he's done is going to serve him moving forward. I am a little bit, we'll get to it, a little bit concerned with the opening up that's happened with some of these other men. Didn't end this episode as well. So Zach brings her a gift, and it's a picture of the two of them on their date. I wonder how he got that. I find it uncomfortable when I watched him kiss her. He, in my opinion, just wants to swallow her face and like show how passionate he is for her. And it seems contrived and forced on his part. Not that they don't have a connection, but I feel like he's like forcing that connection on her by like deeply kissing her. Feel the passion. And I'm just like, I don't know, it kind of bugs me.
He has a degree of intensity to him for sure. Like you were talking about last week, I feel like when he stares at people, he like looks at them deeply. He's like that kind of person. I find all of the kissing on the show to be very cringe. Just because I think about how it's like silent and they're just like kissing and like it's mic'd, and like just the way that must be filmed makes me feel super uncomfortable. But I will say it seems like even Tayshia's maybe getting to that place with some of these guys, because I forget who it was, but somebody went to kiss her this episode and she's like, oh, just going in for the kiss like right away, as opposed to like
that part.
hey, talk to me, I'm a person who also wants to have a conversation. I feel like she's comfortable being physical with them, so I feel like a lot of them are like pushing for these intense kisses, which I guess is always happening on this show, but I don't know, it feels a little bit more like intentional with these guys. Like they're like, okay, so we're gonna chat for a few seconds and then I'm gonna make out with you. Yeah, it's very over the top.
But it could be because they're trying to just get those sparks in there. You know what I mean? Because like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not lying when I say, okay, I think I told you this before, but I'll tell you again. I had an acting coach many years ago that said a line that has stuck with me for like 15, 20 years. And it is, if the kiss ain't great, legs don't separate. And this is true. So I think they're trying to get that intense, like tingle because I judge harshly on the kiss. And if the kiss isn't working right off the bat, if it's not like electric and like yummy, it probably isn't going to work more than a couple of dates. You know what I mean? So they're all trying to like get in there, like, hope she likes this, like, la 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 la, you know?
Yeah. Well, and a physical connection is important. Like the show always tries to make it about these emotional conversations, but like for a lot of people, they weigh those things quite equally. Like you do need to feel attraction towards somebody. You need to feel like when you're kissing them, you feel passion there, you feel some kind of desire. Like it is important to know if that compatibility is there. So I get it from that perspective too. But yeah, I think because she's comfortable with it, I feel like guys are really pushing for it. And I think maybe she doesn't just want to do that with everybody, or maybe she does. I don't know.
Well, maybe it happens when they have nothing to say, and then that's a problem, you know? Next up is Ben, and they're kind of, I don't know about this guy.
They're just making out.
But he's kind of flirting, kissing, being like, no, you're so bad at that. It's so bad that we need more practice. Like, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what it is. I said it's cute, but it's kind of cringy. And when I'm by kinda, I mean very. Ivan says that he's ready to be a great husband, and I think he is. I still don't think it's with Tayshia. I think this whole episode is making me feel that she really wants Brendan. I know we talked about it many times before, but I just don't see her really with anybody else in the way that she is with him, in my opinion. Do you agree, or do you have any other topic?
I agree. I'm just wondering what's happening with Brendan's status, because we haven't seen as much of him. Like, that's kind of the curse of getting the first one-on-one, is that you have that initial connection that's very strong, and then we don't really see much happening. And maybe because the season is shorter than normal, like he could have been someone that potentially could have gotten a second one-on-one by this point if it was like full season. So I'm wondering if we're seeing less of him just because he hasn't been on one-on-one dates with her, or if it's because we should also be focusing on some other people a little bit more, like the Zach or Ben situation, which I think are both on the rise with Tayshia.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good call. Good point. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so, I don't like that.
I think she still likes Brendan. Like, I think she has the best natural chemistry, as much as we can take from a TV show with him.
Yes.
But
well, when she was with him on their little, chit chat, she just kept on staring at his lips. Yeah. All she wanted to do was make out with him. And I have to say, though, like it seems like after him, I don't know how the editing works, but she was in completely different spirits at the end of like her just bouncing around these guys. She was in Brendan seemingly at the end, so I'm attributing it to her time with him, but it might have been a combination of all of them. But she just seems so much happier, which I prefer her in her happy mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And so JoJo comes in because we have Chris Harrison taking his son to college. I love JoJo's green dress, though. I thought the color was really nice, and I thought she's been looking really gorgeous. They definitely are doing well with her. Ross is here. Hi, Ross. How are you?
Hi.
Yes. We're just trying to get things done as soon as we can. I have a busy day today, so we have to kind of squeeze things in when we can. But thank you for joining us. We're only partway through, maybe halfway through, so you still got time to chill with us. Okay, so there's only 5 roses up for grab here, and it's kind of scary because I thought we were at 15 last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're at 5, and I was like, whoa, where did everybody go? And why are we only going down to 5? And there's still some men that I wanted to see get an opportunity here, but I'm assuming 5 roses because they know that spoiler alert, Bennett is coming back.
Yeah.
You know, so 6 makes more sense. Get rid of 2 for next week for
hometowns. Yeah.
Yeah. So the people that get the roses are Brendan first. So there's that connection that we're seeing. Riley, Blake, shocking. Was it shocked?
I don't understand why this is continuing to happen week after week. Please let him go. Let him leave.
You don't need to have the Canadian here. It's okay. He's his purpose and time. Ivan and Noah. Of course, Noah's coming. So the 3 men that were eliminated were Demar, Ed, and Spencer. I mean, we didn't really see any time with them. We knew Ed was just kind of a placeholder for just not choosing Chasen, pretty much. And then there were 7, is what they were saying, because Ben and Zach already had a rose.
Yeah.
So
has there ever been such a flop of someone getting a first impression rose and going absolutely nowhere, like Spencer? Like, it's so crazy to think that that's how we began, with him getting the first impression rose and us thinking maybe he could be like the big villain of Tayshia's season, to him just completely fizzling out. So weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Like, maybe they just really had no connection, and so she got to fake it. But I was surprised that he didn't get a little more one-on-one time. We learned a little more about him. He's been on other dates, but he's never featured. So I was like, ooh.
So weird. Usually a first impression rose person makes it like pretty far, or like to the end. So
the women's season, usually their first impression rose is who gets the actual rose. But we'll give the benefit of the doubt for it being an unconventional season, you know?
That's true.
So next day, JoJo announces that the following week was going to be hometown week and leaves the date card. The date card says, "Falling in love is full of surprises." And this is for Ben. How did you feel about Ben getting this one-on-one date? And did you like the date?
I actually did like the date. I thought it was like, again, pretty creative use of the location, but I like scavenger hunt type things. I think those are pretty fun. It was really easy. It was just a way for them to basically ride those scooters around the property, but it seemed cute, and it seemed like, I don't know, very fun first date type of activity where you're just like kind of stepping outside your box and having fun with somebody.
Me too. Like, I totally agree here. I love games and puzzles and amusement parks and, like, you know, scavenger hunts for sure. I don't think I've ever been on like a real one. I've always wanted to do one like around the city where you like find clues and, you know, with friends or whatever it is. And so doing that on a date first, I think even a first date, it would be a good first date because you can see like different skills in that other person, and having a shared activity just takes all the pressure off, like having to show who you are and ask the right questions and be like on your best behavior. Like, you just kind of get to see the real version of themselves. And so I love that. And so I like that for the date. One thing it did show me though, that Ben, in my opinion, don't come for me, is trying a little bit too hard. So I know when they're in like the pool part of it and he like dumps all the balls over of the mini pool, the whatever kiddie pool. And then there was another moment where he did something like, when he rips open the piñata. I just felt that he was trying to show that he was like, I'm such a man. I'm going to solve this for you. That it just seemed a little bit like, I don't know, a little cringe.
I feel like I had the opposite journey where I was like, you know, we've been feeling a certain way about Ben where we're like, something's off, or like, I don't know, like he's hot but not hot, like I'm confused, etc. This date brought me fully to like being a Ben head. I'm like, yo, is Ben hot? Like, I was actually like blown away when he dumped the tennis balls. I was actually like, oh, wow. I don't know. I was feeling some kind of way, and I normally don't feel strongly towards him, but he really won me over. I don't know what it was.
It worked on you.
It works. I'm the prime audience for Bachelor editing, apparently. I mean, I'm like hook, line, and sinker.
They gotcha. That's so funny. I mean, obviously, I can see how. It just for me, it was glaring. Like, I don't know. He's doing it on purpose to look like really manly, and I just
For sure.
buy it.
When he ripped open the piñata,
You were just like,
tore open the piñata, and she was like, "Oh, okay, we can just do that."
and you're just like, I'm here for it.
I was like, love this. Like, I would actually like don't want to break anything. So why don't you just open it up? Let's go.
Okay. If it's like you open it up, let's go, fine. But it just how he did it, for me, it just felt as though he was trying too hard to look like cool man. Like, I could do this for you, babe. But whatever.
I feel like he probably doesn't do fun childlike things very often, so maybe it was also allowing him to show a bit of himself that he doesn't normally bring out, because he seemed like a little bit like happier, or I don't know if happier is the right way, but he had like a little bit more lightness to him in the date portion. Obviously the conversations later are a little bit heavier, or a lot heavier, but he seemed a little bit more like, yeah, like a little bit more present and a little bit more open.
Yeah, do you know what? Maybe that's what it is. His looseness is not part of what I attribute to him personality-wise and like physicality. And so maybe that's what I was seeing, is that I'm not used to him being in that kind of loose role, that it seemed out of place for me and made me feel a little bit awkward, you know? So, but okay, I'll buy you starting to fall for Ben now.
It's, you know what, life is full of twists and turns, and you just have to go along for the ride.
Is like Chris Harrison would be like this. So Ross is saying here that I think that something happened with Spencer and they didn't want to show us. That is an interesting call with Spencer. And I wouldn't be surprised, because they have a lot of footage that they edit out. So I wish we knew more as to why he was edited out. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised if we find out at the Men Tell All. This is the only Men Tell All that I actually might be excited to see for whatever reason.
It looks so wild. The setup and everything. Wow.
No. So before we get to the end of the date, we have a kind of a Zach talking to the men and the cameras about family, and he's crying. This is why I'm feeling a certain type of way with how a lot of these relationships have been going. And absolutely everybody has had their own life experience, especially people that are older. They've had a journey. But there's something about this season, it seems that people are not being taken care of for like these really deep emotional journeys that they're going through. Starting with Jason, I was not okay with what Claire was asking him to bring out. Zach here, he's had a past that I don't know if he's fully healed from. And then we'll learn a little bit later, Ben has a very, very serious past that, I just don't know how much he's healed from. And I'm just... Oh, I was like, somebody gonna crack it?
No, sorry, I was in my door.
It scared me. But I'm just worried that, Zach isn't ready to be in this relationship. And what happens if she doesn't choose him? I'm getting worried now for these men. And that's not really a situation that I enjoy being in when I'm watching something I consider to be fluff. You know what I mean?
It's really tough. I think like this is like the big moral dilemma, I guess, that people have with reality TV, specifically with this franchise, is like, it's not new to us that they're obviously like mining people's personal lives and putting that out there in a way where we are exploiting them, right? Like it's about telling a sob story or about sharing something really personal that's millions of people are going to become aware of. And even with social media now too, thinking about DMs and responses that you might be getting that may be continually triggering towards like some information that you speak about. All of that's happening. But I think the weird thing about this season, or the catch of it all, is that they're handling, from the way that they're portraying the conversations on TV, a lot better and a lot more maturely than normal, because we're actually like in having conversations that aren't being played for max drama, though they're obviously causing that because they're dramatic revelations. So it's like, because they're handling it better, it's almost like people are overlooking how serious what is being brought up is, and how like kind of dangerous it is for that stuff to be aired out in a way that's not supported by professionals who actually deal with this and know how to speak about this and to support somebody who's going through any of the things that these men have shared this season.
And even like with the Ivan and Tayshia's conversations, like even that, I think there needs to be just having the conversation is not, in my opinion, necessarily enough. All of them could be handled very well with a counselor or therapist. You know what I mean? Because
or also, why are there not, when some other shows discuss something that's like super serious, I've seen this happen in other reality shows, like why is there not like an intro shot that's like resources? Like if you are going through something like this, you can call this line or you can go to this website. Like I feel like that's part of what feels so like it's exploiting people, is that they're talking about it for TV and we're discussing these very real conversations, but then there's no like tie-in to further that conversation or to reach out for support if that's something that resonates with you as somebody who's watching. Like that should be there. There should be a disclaimer or some kind of, you know, tie-in to connect people to more support, and there's not at all, which is very negligent for sure.
Absolutely. Like there's usually, especially in talks of suicide, there's usually, maybe I might need to put a trigger warning. I will put it in the comments, see. But with the fact that like in the beginning, they usually put trigger warning. There might be something that might be triggering. And then at the end, as you're mentioning, there's usually a set of resources for anyone you know if needs help or looking or is depressed or whatnot. They just usually have something to direct people that may be watching that is like, oh, I've never really seen someone that has a similar story like me on TV like this. Maybe yes, and maybe it's time for me to go and get help. So you know what? I think that is why I'm feeling uncomfortable with watching these men sharing these stuff with them about themselves, because they're not actually giving. Maybe they're taking care of the men on the TV, but they're not taking care of the people watching the show that need help as well. And so I think you nailed it actually. Oh, really?
It's like.
Ross says they actually showed a suicide hotline at the end of the episode. Okay,
I'm glad to hear that.
Definitely didn't see it, but the fact that it's there, I think that's great. That's helpful, and it makes me feel a little bit more safe here.
It should still be something that's warned at the start of the episode, I feel. Just because, like these things can be serious triggers for people. And I don't think that's great, but I'm happy to hear that they at least have the hotline at the end of the episode. That's good. I wish like they have a huge website. They have a social media presence. Like this is the fakery of this franchise, is like they're trying to generate a conversation or capitalize on having these mental health conversations or conversations about the Black Lives Matter movement or race in America or all this stuff. But then there's no political statement that they ever make in support of any of these things, which are all things that we should be supporting and furthering conversation of. So that's the BS of, you know, the entire franchise and why it feels like stupid that they're doing this.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
It's not cool. It's not cool. Hopefully though, they're learning, because this is the first time they've really shared things that have been this deep and this important. So I'll give them a pass at being a learning curve, since when is it sunny today? And hope that they're just going to be getting better and better with how they deal with social issues as well as deep emotional issues that people might be experiencing. So we're giving a pass now, Bachelor, but please continue to grow as well. So the second portion of Ben and Tayshia's date, this is where we kind of get into this conversation about you know, she feels as though he has a mask on and he always says the right things, and she doesn't feel like she can get to know him that well. And so he ends up, you know, using this as the time to share with him that he had broken his back. I'm not sure how he did this. And within the healing phase of it, how I'm putting it together, became into a depressed state. and that he didn't feel like he wanted to live anymore, and he tried to take his life a couple of times. And I mean, would be a lot on a date on a TV show to respond to. How do you think how she responded to it, and how do you think you might have responded to hearing this news in the same situation?
I mean, there's so much to this that I felt while watching. First of all, I'm glad that he's still with us and that he has, gone to therapy or is going to therapy and continuing to work through that. And I think it's really brave of him to share so explicitly a very, very serious point in his life that he went through. So I hope that he continues, like, even after leaving the show, in whatever happens or however this plays out, to be supported and to be able to continue to navigate this, because I don't think it gets easier psychologically after being on a reality show. As far as how she handled it, I mean, I think she did the best she could. She's not a mental health professional. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of critiques that I'm reading online about the way that she's been handling a lot of these serious conversations, that they're not really conversations, or that she's kind of like not really saying much in response, or just giving like a few words of response. I think she's doing a great job of listening to them and hearing them out and being active as a listener for them. And then I also think that when she does respond, she's probably afraid to say something wrong. So she just doesn't say much and keeps it very neutral. There's no stigmatizing them. There's no, commenting on the action. It's just being present, listening, and taking that in. And I think she's doing the best she can. Like, she's not a therapist. She's not someone who specializes in trauma. She's just a person who's on TV in dates that are being filmed, like, reacting. So I really respect it. I think she's doing the best she can.
I agree too, and she had a little bit of a breakdown moment last episode when a lot of men were sharing some of their past, and I was just thinking about it, like, that would be a lot of space to hold as just a person on a TV show, like you're saying, like, if I do readings and life coaching, stuff like that, and sometimes I have a client that has a heavy situation that they're working through. And at times I'm thinking, like, man, could I imagine navigating through 15 men giving me this, like, all their emotional trauma for me to carry and love and be supportive and hold the space for, and still share my heart and share my love. Like, that is a lot to ask for somebody that's not trained to be the receiving end on all that emotion. Like, if it's your partner one-on-one and you learn this about them and you've been dating for 6 months and, like, you know what I mean, you're growing together, well, that's one thing. But, like, having 10 guys even, like, that's all just giving you that weighted emotional history. I think that she also is doing a really great job with how she's handling it, because I think that would be a lot for anybody. And it's the most that we've seen anybody have to deal with so far, I feel.
It's hard, even as a human being, when you talk to your friends, if your friend shares something with you that's, like, deeply personal, even with people that I know very, very well and that I'm very comfortable with, there's moments where you don't know how to react, or you don't know what the best thing to do in that moment is, but you want to be there for that person. Imagine if you were going through that and being filmed. That's like an layer of just
judged on it by comments and threads and, yeah. So I feel for her. This was probably the side of being the Bachelorette she didn't probably expect, is, like, having to hold the space for so many different men's emotions, especially men. She cares about all these people, and so she wants to be able to give them what they need. But as you're saying, of course, she's not trained to do so. And so I think she's doing the best for who she is, 100%.
Agree.
Ross says, I agree with the trigger warning. People come to the Bachelor to get away from things. Absolutely. And not to say they shouldn't share it, but that they just need people to be aware that maybe some content might be, triggering. So I would trigger warning in this, in the post. I don't know if you put something at the beginning of this episode.
I think as long as it's, like, somewhere where people know, if people watch the episode, they'll know that this is part of it, but just to give them the option to skip over if they want to.
Will do. Do you think the producers know about Ben's past? I do. And
I'm sure they disclose all of that, like when they apply / in their psych evals and all of that stuff.
Evals for sure. In the application, they ask like every time you've ever been to like the hospital, like, you know, when was you on medication, what kind of medication you're taking. So all that would come out in like the vetting of this person. So I do think that they know about all the deep secrets and, you know, emotional trauma that any of these men have potentially experienced. I think they're very well aware, personally. I think so. So I did say at the end, I'm like, I was, you know, shocked that it was getting to this deep. And I just was like, I really hope that I don't see her at the end with him. And so that's where I'm worried that he's going to be emotionally hurt even further, because I don't see her being with him at the very, very end. Do you agree with me there?
I think he is like top 4 material, top, you know, like I don't know, upper tier of guys, but I don't think that she'll end up with him. Though I think their relationship developed a little bit more this episode for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of felt, and there was a sense of relief with him after sharing that with her, and it was it's kind of not sheepish. I don't know the word I want, but it's kind of like I felt like he was okay. We're in this together. You know what I mean? I feel like he was like stepping off the cliff and like ready to, you know, go down this road with Tayshia, and I just don't think that she's going to continue along that path, but I am happy to see that maybe him opening this part of himself is going to allow him to love a little bit more and a little bit better. So I'm hoping that it'll be good for him, but I'm worried too at the same time. So do you know who Adam Hambrick is? The concert?
Nope.
I was like, no clue. Don't know you. And we get to the next shot about the guys talking about the group date rose. Obviously, Zach wants to get the rose. He wants more time with Tayshia, blah, blah, blah. The date card says, the truth is I'm falling in love. That is the truth. Rachel's in the house. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Kind of getting to the end. We're at the lie detective portion of the date. But if you have any comments about what has gone on up until this point, we want to hear it. So the lie detector date, I'm happy that she did the lie detector first. At least it wasn't her just seeing all these guys get exposed and then her not really exposing anything of herself. Any, you know, very obvious parts of this lie detector that stood out for you?
So first of all, it's a laptop, not a polygraph machine. Secondly, pretty sure polygraph tests don't have light bulbs that are different colors indicating those things. So shout out to the Bachelor producers for not even trying to pretend that this is real.
And it's JoJo administering the test.
Yes, and JoJo is administering the test. Obviously, you know, professional at administering polygraph tests. I mean, all of it was just so hokey and so funny to me. But I did appreciate that they didn't even try to convince us that this was authentic in any way.
Right? So funny.
But I think some of these guys actually like took it very seriously, which to me made it funnier because it was so ridiculous.
Yes, it was really ridiculous. The questions that they're asking, like Ivan, has he been aroused by Tayshia before? And does he want children? Asking Noah if anybody with him has faked an orgasm. Is he ready to meet families? And the mustache. Riley and his name. That was interesting. I wasn't expecting to be a fail, but I guess obviously the producers are going to know that would be a fail. So
yes,
go. Brendan fails in the wanting to meet family portion of it. And Zach says that he's cheated. So Tayshia was shocked by that one the most, I think. And she confronts Zach. Actually, no, she confronts Riley first, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think so.
We learn about Riley that we will learn a little bit more about his family history and his past, and he has if I'm not mistaken, his father's name, and then he didn't like how his father was treating his mother at some point, or his family at some point, and so he didn't want to be part of that legacy anymore. So did he change his name, or did he choose a new name? I don't remember.
He changed it, like Riley's his middle name, he was saying, I think. Honestly, okay, so I really enjoyed like having some more insight into Riley's story and him sharing that more, but I felt like this was edited so weirdly. Like I didn't really understand the progression of what happened. Like I guess sense that he had a falling out with his father, or there's like a disconnect between his father, his relationship with his father, and the rest of his family. But like I didn't really understand what was happening. Did you feel that way?
Well, that's exactly. I didn't even write it down. I just wrote down Riley and his name.
Like, yeah, I was just like, what's the actual full story here?
We're on to them too, Ross. We're on to them. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think that Riley is a little bit guarded, as we know, and so maybe he kind of wasn't being fully outright and clear with his story, and so maybe they just didn't know how to edit it. Yeah, I don't know. So it just seems like there was a falling out, and he didn't like his dad anymore, so he changed his name. What I got.
Yeah, but like that's pretty serious. Like if you know, like for all of that to go down, for you to make those decisions, I believe there's probably a lot of, you know, serious thought behind that and experiences that colored that. So would have been nice if it made more sense to me, but I don't think that's his fault in terms of what he revealed. Obviously, it's pieced together very, you know, haphazardly.
Okay, Ross is with us. He changed his name entirely, and the story was confusing. Okay,
yeah, it was. Like I want to know, but also like I don't think that made sense.
No sense to me either. So we'll button that then, just like they did, not very well. And Tayshia confronts Zach about the cheating story, and it ends up being a 12-year-old 6th grade story about a smooch with your girlfriend and then smooching some other girl at a bowling alley. So they definitely was a big misdirect here. She was actually really upset. She looked really hurt and unhappy, and she definitely seemed very pleased that she was completely wrong with what she thought was going on. So what do you think of that little misdirect and the dupe that we got by the producers?
I knew it was going to be something like this. Like, remember last week when I said, I'm curious to know when this occurred, when we got the teaser of him saying that he cheated? I was like, I really want to know when this happened in his life, because I had a feeling it was going to be like something so silly. And then it was. But I feel like this was such a, like he didn't want to lie. And to be honest, they might have said that he was lying no matter what he said, because they want to stir this up. But like, it sucks for Tayshia, because she actually like has a lot of deep feelings about cheating and cheaters. So even though it was a misdirect, and even though it was like fine afterwards, it still like put her through a whole emotional journey where she was like, this is why like I separated from my husband. Like, I will not tolerate this. Like, I will not do this. Like, it really put her in a position that was uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And that wasn't very nice.
They do
like, I didn't think that was a funny thing to be like, haha, it's from when I was in 6th grade. Like, okay. But also, like,
yeah, so the relief is fine, but like she didn't stop her from like really thinking that you weren't the guy anymore. And so I think it's actually been detrimental to their relationship, because she would probably start looking at all the other things that were red flaggish, you know? So I don't know if it was the best thing for them, but I don't think it was his choice. I think that the producers were like, hey, bud, you're going to have to lie here. Or
I think he did the best he could, given that like that question was thrown his way. Your options are lie, and then it get called out as a lie, or tell the truth and then have to explain yourself. But then he got basically one-on-one time with her to have that conversation anyways, so it worked out.
Zach, Ross says that I think Zach is lying. He was stressed out during the lie detector. I still am a little bit wary of him. I'm just gonna keep him at arm's distance. I'm not going down the Zach train here, not yet. Brendan has a conversation with Tayshia as well about the fact that he's not ready to meet parents, and they are able to come to an understanding. It's because they've both been married before, because he wants it to be actually the right person for the right reasons at the right time to share it with their family. So I understood his reasonings behind it. I give him a pass for this. Like, I'm not bothered by it.
I'm not bothered by it either. That would actually make me like him more, because I'd be like, oh, that's a very rational response to have.
Oh, nice and rational. And so before we button up this episode, we end it on Bennett deciding to come back and confess his love for Tayshia. And Tayshia is now contemplating whether or not he wants to have Bennett continue this journey. What do you think about this ending in our last 2 minutes? Because I have to go.
I absolutely hated this ending. It was very scary. It seemed like it was straight out of a horror movie. His teeth glimmering in the night and the way he was lurking in the shadows made me feel extremely uncomfortable. And furthermore, when she says that she needs the night to make her decision and he tries to kiss her, that was so awkward. Ugh. I don't think we needed him to come back.
Oh, I'm so over Rachel. Or Bennett says Rachel, and agreed. Like,
same, Rachel, same.
If he didn't do the swerve, I could have maybe gotten behind him, being like, "Oh, I want to still like explore something with you." But he lost his charm. He lost it all of it. I'm sorry, Bennett. He might be lovely in real life, but that was a real cringe-worthy moment, even though you confessed your love. So I am interested to see what's happened. I think that she's probably going to bring him back, right? She has to.
I think he'll stick, because she didn't give the rose to anybody on the group date either. Mm-hmm. Like the lie detector, she said, she needs more time to decide. So I think it'll be a rose ceremony, and then she's probably just going to let go Bennett and like Noah anyways. So
yeah.
and then Blake has the one-on-one. We forgot that.
What? When?
Blake? Because all the guys that are on the
and then he's not going to get her pros at the one-on-one, probably.
I think, yeah.
Okay, I forgot about him. I was like, what? He got a date today, and I didn't see the date. Well, okay, I do have to cut this one short. Obviously, short and sweet, just under an hour. We did it. Thank you, Tanya. Looking for you online. Where can they find you?
Can add me on Instagram.
Perfect. Yes, you got it. And please, if you haven't done so already, we're on our journey to 1,000 subscribers. We're getting close. We're over the halfway mark. So subscribe right down over there to help us out on that journey. Please like this video if you like what we're talking about. Ooh, Ross says, I'm liking Bennett again. She likes him. We'll see what happens. I don't know if she actually likes him, but I think she might have liked him up until that swerve kiss. And yes, please ring the bell. So anytime we have a new video, and especially if we come on an awkward off time, you will be notified and you can join us in on the conversation in the comments. So that's all I got for us today. Thanks, Tanya. Obviously, I'm going to be messaging you about the challenge. Please watch our challenge recap. Some of our really great friends are talking about it this season, and people are loving the content so far. So please join us on that. Other than that, see you next week. Bye.